Continuing from the previous episode 2335. This guy. The power in his body is weird. At this moment, the poisonous girl Leng Qingchen also realized that the glass-colored flames around Xiaoyan actually contained several completely different powers, and that power even sent out a palpitating feeling from the poisonous art in her body, and she immediately became vigilant. Stand up. If that's the case, then as you wish. Being provoked and despised by Xiaoyan continuously, a yellow smoke slowly lingered around Leng Qingchen's body. As this yellow smoke spread, the entire staircase at the foot of the mountain trembled, and a strong sense of unease swept over everyone's hearts. Is this the legendary love-sorrow poison art, one of the Leng Yue Palace Shuangsha poison? At this moment, the other powerhouses present looked at Leng Qingchen, who was aloof, and immediately sighed in their hearts. The power of the Shuangsha poison art in Leng Yue Palace, even some veteran powerhouses in Jing Yue Palace could not resist. The uninvited guests from the human world may be difficult to resist. After all, the power of poison art can ignore almost all defenses and directly kill the terrifying power of the enemy. Even the son of the Shuangsha poison art in the Leng Yue Palace can kill with love and smother the enemy invisibly. Affection. There was a faint smile on the corner of Leng Qingchen's mouth, and then his slender fingers slowly raised, as if a master was controlling the life and death of the enemy, and pointed to Xiaoyan's position gently. The attack contained in it, the power of reincarnation, is only a few, and the bigger thing is a very mysterious yellow poisonous fog. Phew. Boom. The yellow poisonous mist surged and instantly turned into a sharp momentary blade. The tip of the blade contained a terrifying suffocating wave, so it brought a whistling wind and approached Xiaoyan. It seems that I still have to find some tyrannical fighting skills. It is really difficult for Guangguang to rely on exercises and holy flames. Xiaoyan's eyes were filled with an extremely surging fighting intent, and then he did not step back. His hands were shaped like fists, and there were ancient flame patterns entwined on them. With its attack, now that Xiaoyan's body has been augmented by the Dragon God transformation and the holy flame, in terms of power alone, I am afraid that it will not be a problem to deal with some ordinary double reincarnation steps. Boom! Above the fist, glazed sparks shot out in all directions, and the scorching fire slashed viciously on the strange yellow poisonous mist, and under the terrifying power of the glazed holy flame, the yellow poisonous mist contained the special power of it also melted away rapidly. This human flame can actually melt the poisonous mist of the poisonous woman? Looking at this scene, a touch of shock emerged. The poisonous girl Leng Qingchen is a real genius in the Leng Yue Palace. No matter whether it is the practice or perception of poison art, it is far beyond comparison, but Xiaoyan's flame is even more powerful than the former. This situation is simply appalling. Interesting. Leng Qingchen's pretty face was slightly condensed, and now she has smelled some really moving power from the glass-colored flames on Xiaoyan's body, and immediately slowly activated the poison art in her body, the poison art of grief. From ancient times to the present, there are very few people who can successfully escape from the poison of love and sorrow. Once he is hit by it, the only thing waiting for Xiaoyan is to be destroyed. The poison of love. Feeling the huge pressure coming from Xiaoyan's fist, Leng Qingchen's eyes shrank slightly, and then his fingers intertwined, forming an extremely huge yellow cauldron, with bursts of puffs and whistles, resisting together. Go! Break! Looking at Leng Qingchen's attack, Xiaoyan snorted coldly. His fists were raised, and under the blessing of countless ancient flames, they swept out like lightning and slammed together. Wong buzz! The attack fell, and the fight turned out to be indistinguishable for a while. The two involuntarily retreated some distance, and then looked at each other indifferently. Unfortunately, Xiaoyan did not realize that the broken yellow cauldron had filled a lot of power over his body. Even Xiaoyan, at this moment, was hit by the poisonous poison of the poisonous woman. Everything is reversed. After a while, on the stairs in the distance, a cold humming sound with a little majesty swelled up. Suddenly, the void at the foot of the mountain seemed to be instantly imprisoned by some mysterious force. Xiaoyan only felt that his eyes fainted, and there was actually a strange sound all over his body. A powerful force emerged, and before it could react, it was pulled into another unknown space. This is my world. Feel the pain. In the mysterious world, a loud noise rang out, and suddenly the majestic yellow poisonous mist formed energy ripples and scattered under Xiaoyan's feet. As this energy dissipated, the ground of the mysterious world turned into crystal silver and antimony little by little, and vaguely transformed into a transparent prism that appeared at Xiaoyan's feet. Is this the domain, or the power of poison art? Seeing this scene, Xiaoyan couldn't help frowning, but before he could wait for these forces to dissipate completely, there were bursts of violent and harsh wind breaking from the prism surface under his feet, and black shadows hid within them like devils. Brother Xiaoyan, you are so disappointing to Zuner. Immediately, at Xiaoyan's feet, there was a beautiful woman with a beautiful face, wearing a blue robe, with a cold and indifferent temperament, like a clear lotus blooming at the beginning. At this time, the woman's eyes were full of despair, and she looked at Xiaoyan leisurely, expressing inexhaustible hatred. Zuner. At this moment, looking at this scene, Xiaoyan's body moved slightly. I don't know if it was because of the effect of Lang Qingchen's poison art world or something else. It seemed that he couldn't distinguish the illusion. Xiaoyan. You kill my teacher, destroy my sect, I hate you. I can never forgive you. The mirror was turned, and a beautiful figure gushed out, beautiful and vulgar, as if it had an air of lightness, with beautiful eyes and longing, like a secluded orchid, and her words and deeds were as pure and flawless as icebergs and snow lotuses. Yun. Hearing these words, Xiaoyan's body trembled, as if something was loosening viciously in his heart. Xiaoyan, I never imagined that you have always been a hypocrite. It was my little doctor who misunderstood you. The next moment, under the prism, a woman in a pale white dress spoke indifferently, her eyes filled with a wave of death. Gulu, little doctor immortal. His throat became dry and hoarse, and immediately an extremely terrifying force was transmitted from Xiaoyan's chest. Xiaoyan, you are no longer suitable to continue to be the lord of the endless fire territory. You better go to hell. A series of graceful figures surrounded Xiaoyan, whispering in a low voice, with a very real killing intent in their voices. Color scales. Xiaoyan, my brother died because of you, you failed to protect my brother. You're just a coward. In the last line, the slightly naughty and lovely woman spoke slowly, her voice roaring, and the icy chill contained in it made people shudder. Xiaoyan. The 5 echoes swept through Xiaoyan's heart like some ancient Sanskrit sound. A sense of self-blame and powerlessness was slowly passed on to Xiaoyan's heart. After a while, in this mysterious world, there were countless yellow lights. Little by little, it landed on Xiaoyan, and a trace of swallowing eroded Xiaoyan's vitality. If it goes on like this for a long time, I am afraid that after an hour, Xiaoyan will be corroded into a pile of bones. And the most powerful thing about this poisonous girl Lang Qingchen is the so-called love-sorrow poison art, which uses love as its merit and is unprepared for attacking it. Even some powerful people with great strength will not attack themselves. In the world of poison art, there is only one defeat. Down. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 2336. Brother Xiaoyan. Seeing Xiaoyan standing still not far away, Zuner said with some worry. Xiaoyan has a lot of power, but the power to defend against venom is only antlers, not to mention that the opponent is such a poisonous girl in the Cold Moon Palace, the pressure is greatly increased, so Zuner can't help but be a little worried. It's fine. For a time, the little Dr. Xian Meimei slowly looked at Zuner and spoke out soothingly, but after a while, she looked at a hidden void in the mountains outside Jingyue Palace, and there seemed to be a looming aura locked in them. So that the reincarnation mark at the center of his eyebrows slightly released some fiery fluctuations. With the strength and identity of the poison god Xuan, the person who can make his reincarnation feel this kind of fluctuation is probably a strong person who has something to do with the poison god Xuan. At the foot of Jinyugong Mountain, everyone saw Xiaoyan's body standing quietly on the spot, his eyes tightly closed, and a layer of yellow poisonous mist spread all over his body, accompanied by mixed emotions. On the other side, the poisonous girl Lang Qingchen and Xiaoyan also entered the same state, but at this moment, the brows on her pretty face were furrowed, as if she was trying to resist something. Peefed. A voice. Xiaoyan's eyes suddenly opened, and then a mouthful of bright red blood slowly overflowed from the corner of his mouth, but the next moment, a gloomy smile appeared at the corner of Xiaoyan's mouth. Involuntarily, a layer of extremely dazzling flame fluctuations ignited on the body, and then from a sudden point in the void, it roared away towards Leng Qingchen beside him. Peeved. At the same time, Leng Qingchen's eyes slowly opened, and there was a look of astonishment in his eyes. The poison of love is indeed sinister and vicious. But, it's over. Xiao Yan approached Leng Qingchen, clenched his hands into fists, and then gently approached Leng Qingchen's delicate body. At a distance of 1 meter close to the body, all the attacking energy instantly stopped, but the power contained in it faintly caused the void in front of Leng Qingchen to fluctuate. If it wasn't for Xiao Yan's sudden withdrawal, I'm afraid this power would be enough to destroy Leng Qingchen. Why are you able to break through my realm of sorrow? Seeing Xiao Yan's actions like this, countless poisonous mists poured out of Leng Qingchen's body, and his body trembled violently and retreated to the back. Victory has been won. The poison of love and sorrow is tyrannical and evil, but it is not incurable. One breath remains, and eternity is immortal. Xiao Yan's attack stopped, and he didn't kill him. After all, he came to Poison God Palace, and he was a newcomer, and his main purpose was to be a little doctor. As the 3 branches of the Poison God Palace, the Leng Yue Palace is naturally an inseparable force. I lost. Leng Qingchen looked at Xiao Yan with complex eyes. He did possess a lot of temperament and strength that he had never seen before, especially in the world of love and sorrow. This guy's fearless will to die melted away. Rao is Leng Qingchen's high-handed vision, and he has never seen such a terrifying human being with such a strong will. Failed to climb the mountain. After a while, Leng Qingchen glanced at the back with some nostalgic eyes, shook his head slightly, and showed signs of leaving in a blink of an eye. Although she is arrogant, it is not that she cannot afford to lose. On the contrary, her defeat in the battle with Xiao Yan has given her a new understanding of her own feelings of grief. The poisonous girl of Leng Yue Palace was actually defeated by a human being brought back by the poison soul? The strength of this human being is only the peak of the first-level reincarnation. How can he actually defeat Leng Qingchen, who is one of the 2 evil poisons in control of the Leng Yue Palace, and whose strength has reached the second-level reincarnation? In the Jingyue Palace, the onlookers continued to speak, and there was no lack of worship and taboo in their voices. Boom! After the rest, in the mountains outside Jingyue Palace, there was a cloud of white smoke rising. The white smoke, in the eyes of everyone's doubts, slowly drifted out, and immediately came to the foot of the mountain and shrank slightly, as if there was some kind of huge aura condensing. With the appearance of this smoke, an unusually tyrannical fluctuation slowly woke up like some ancient sound, and the void at the foot of the mountain all became buzzing. Guru, the Deputy Palace Lord of Leng Yu Palace, Leng Yuchen. Looking at this scene, there are some high-level figures who speak, and their voices are full of turbidity, shocking. The visitor was wearing a blue cloth all over his body and looked extremely simple, with an extremely amiable and intimate atmosphere, but there was a gloomy smile hanging on his cheek, which made people feel dazed. Teacher, I lost, let's go. Seeing this, Leng Qingchen slowly shook his head, and then while speaking, he returned to his own station. This guy. At this time, the eyes of Xiao Yishen and Poison Soulzi became deep, as if they were afraid of something. Is it quasi-quadruple reincarnation? Xiao Yan released a gentle wave of energy to protect the 2 girls, and then looked at each other vigilantly. This guy had a bad vibe. Hey, Poison Soul, do you know the guilt? After the blink of an eye, Leng Yuchen suddenly walked slowly, and then came to Poison Soulzi's side, her face constantly wandering over Zuner and Xiao Yan, a look of schadenfreude. The Poison God Palace is divided into 3 palaces and 6 gates, many forces, but the only ones that really have a decisive role are the 3 palaces, and the 3 palaces are constantly fighting with each other. Xiao Yan heard the words, but his face slowly became solemn, and in the dark eyes, a very violent source of holy flame quietly permeated. The mere quadruple reincarnation level, for today's Xiao Yan, if it is really a fight to the death, it is not certain who will kill the deer. No need. Xiao Yixian's face was calm, and she slowly came to Xiao Yan and smiled sweetly at him. This smile, full of style, seems to contain a few words that can't be told. Quote. Xiao Yan did not stop the little medical fairy in the end, but only felt that some ancient power was rapidly condensing in this girl's body. I don't know the Essen in the mouth of the Deputy Palace Master Leng Yuchen. What's my mother's fault? Poison Soul Z and Xiao Yixian looked at each other, and a sinister and treacherous poisonous mist spread out, and spoke directly to each other. Our demon world and human world are like water and fire. You went to human world to search for disciples with the potential of poison gods, not to let you bring back some three-legged cat guys at will. In view of the fact that these two people do not have any poisonous mist fluctuations, in my opinion, on-site FA rectification, I think Palace Master Jingyue would be happy to agree. After all, Palace Master Jingyue had a sad past that was almost wiped out by humans in the human world. Leng Yuchen sneered. It seems that she is deliberately provoking things, and Yi Ran ignores what will happen later. Hoo, tiny old guy. Xiao Yan and Zuner looked at each other, and the two slowly stood beside the little medical fairy, the majestic sacred radiance of holy flames slowly blooming with supreme power. This time, leave it to me. You've helped me so many times, I don't want to always accept your love. Just as the two violent surges were slowly surging, a sweet voice, accompanied by a burst of ancient and deep green energy ripples, slowly spread out from somewhere above the ground. This kind of green energy ripple has just spread, and it turned out to be a shock to all the strong people who practice the poison art present, and a long-lost shock and fear emerged. This kind of tremors and fluctuations, but only when the Poison God Palace chats with a few supreme elders or the Poison God, it will only happen. Continuing from the previous episode 2337, Guru, this is Vice Palace Lord Leng Yuchen. What you just said, can you tell it again? At this time, the little Dr. Fairy changed from the soft and silent appearance before, and became like a cold-blooded queen who controls life and death, and her words are full of unquestionable majesty. There is an extremely terrifying aura in the body, as if slowly waking up from endless years, experiencing endless vicissitudes, a long time, and it is frightening. What is in your body? What is it? At this moment, Leng Yuchen felt the indifferent killing intent in the words of Xiaoyi Xian and the mysterious power in her body. The poisonous pills in her body suddenly solidified, as if under the influence of its strange aura. Even her own the strength and vitality are sealed by its solidification. Leng Yuchen, you are getting more and more condescending. The figure of the poisonous woman slowly appeared beside the little medical fairy, and waves of poisonous mist spread out from the two bodies, accompanied by a very mysterious ancient breath. Circles of green energy ripples, from the small Dr. Immortal feet radiate out. Peeved. With the appearance of this scene, the figures around the foot of the mountain, their bodies directly and uncontrollably knelt down and surrendered to the position of the little Dr. Immortal. We meet the Poison God reincarnation. There is no lack of lofty respect and fiery in the voices of the many powerhouses in Jingyue Palace. At this time, there is no sign of displeasure at all. They all bow their heads humbly and roar out. For the three palace powerhouses who have lived in the Poison God realm for a long time, I am afraid that no one knows the power of the Poison God and the Supreme Elder better than them. If the ancient aura and the green energy in front of him can go wrong, then what is the explanation for the reincarnation mark on the eyebrows of the little doctor? Wang buzz. The ancient emerald green ripples all over the body of the little medical fairy continued to overflow, and the beautiful eyes glanced at Leng Yuchen slightly. Quasi-quadruple reincarnation level strength is definitely not something Xiao Yan can resist. Xiao Yan has a tyrannical body on his body, and the power of the dragon *** transformation and many holy flames has made Xiao Yan's combat power high and low. However, since obtaining the seal of reincarnation, the little medical fairy just knew that in the current reincarnation level, the gap between each level is like a gulf, and it is definitely not easy to fight beyond the order. Xiao Yan is now at the peak of the first level reincarnation rank. Without using the power of demons, his combat power is probably only comparable to the ordinary second-level reincarnation rank. Because the reincarnation rank is too mysterious. The reason why he was able to fight beyond the ranks was because of Sheng Yan's suppression of evil races outside the territory. Looking at the familiar rune between the eyebrows of the little doctor, the Deputy Palace Lord Leng Yuchen clenched his fists with some difficulty, and then the surging poisonous mist in his body began to tumble and boil under his delicate control, and the greed fluctuated. Exhibition, no doubt. This old guy. It was not until Leng Yuchen exerted a lot of power in his body that he was quasi-quadruple reincarnation level strength. Xiao Yan just realized that he was wrong. Too wrong. The reason why he was able to fight beyond the reincarnation rank largely depended on the suppression of the evil race from outside the territory by the holy flame. But if it is human beings, I am afraid that this kind of suppression will be infinitely reduced. Except for human beings with special attributes, who can still have suppression, others, etc., are all under a sharp increase in pressure. The power of terrifying poison and venom. Looking at Leng Yuchen covered in white mist, Xiao Yan couldn't help but take a deep breath. Leng Qingchen just displayed the illusion of love and sorrow, but it took him a lot of effort to crack it. If the attack of that level is not cracked, I am afraid that the backlash will be extremely serious. Now if there is another old immortal, the pressure will increase greatly. Bold madman, how dare to use despicable means to steal the supreme sacred relic of my poison god palace? Isn't the reincarnation of poison god Xuan a nameless generation of yours that you can get involved in? Hurry up and hold it for me. Spit it out for me. At this moment, Leng Yuchen's eyes became crazy, and then the majestic venom power in his body turned into countless sinister poison chains, which directly penetrated the void and killed Xiao Yan and the others. Leng Yuchen's attack of this level actually caused Xiao Yan and Zuner, who had always been quiet, to feel a sense of shock. As soon as the words fell, everyone felt their bodies trembling slightly, but before they could take any action, a very bright smile suddenly appeared on the delicate cheeks of the little doctor beside him. In this smile, the killing intent is awe-inspiring, and there is even an illusion that makes Leng Yuchen tremble. Seeing Xiaoyi Xian's delicate body trembling slightly, bean-sized beads of sweat appeared strangely on Leng Yuchen's forehead, and a rare chill could not help pouring out of her heart. The keen sense of smell seemed to smell something from Xiao Yishen's body. Immediately, his body quickly retreated, but the power in Xiao Yishen's body was slowly condensed on his chest. A light spot shining with ancient green light suddenly fell out of the little medical fairy's body, and then a surging wave slowly erupted on the small medical fairy's palm. Gulu, the holy pill of 10,000 poisons? One of the two poison gods' tokens of the poison god palace? In an instant, even Leng Qingchen, who was bewildered by the sight, actually covered the corners of his mouth with a small hand, his beautiful eyes shrank slightly, and he lost his voice. Wang Buzz. The emerald green light spot kept shaking, although it was lying quietly in the palm of the little Dr. Fairy, but invisibly released a mysterious power of long vicissitudes. Everyone raised their heads and looked at this emerald green bead the size of a dragon's eye, but a very strange feeling suddenly appeared in the depths of their hearts. This strange feeling made all the power in their bodies seem to have temporarily failed, and they could only stand there dumbfounded, whispering in a stunned voice, "Sure enough, it really is a token of the poison god. Little Chops, you are courting death." At this moment, Leng Yuchen was still unwilling to give up. The poisonous art that was suppressed in the body was running at full speed, and shot directly at the little Dr. Fairy. Boom! Little Dr. Immortal ignored it, twisting her slender hands together, and suddenly a very dazzling green light gushing out from her beads, which immediately blended perfectly with the reincarnation mark on her eyebrows. Even with the appearance of Xiao Yishen's actions, an extremely terrifying coercion spread to him. Congratulations to the reincarnation of the poison god, returning to the Mirror Moon Palace. At this moment, the strong man belonging to Jinyue Palace, with a humble and respectful tone, still knelt down to him. This level of coercion, this absolute coercion from the depths of the soul, is definitely not something they can resist. The reincarnation of poison god. At this moment, even Leng Yuchen, who was as tyrannical as the quasi-quadruple reincarnation level, had the power in his body as if it had been disabled, and stood on the ground dumbfounded, staring at the little medical fairy with resentment and jealousy. The poison god Xuan has fallen for many years, even though the poison god palace sent countless figures to look for it, but they have not been able to find it. Now there is a poison god's reincarnation seal and one of the poison god's two tokens. Don't make people jealous and happy. Vertex. Continuing from the previous episode 2338. Well, let's get up. I am the reincarnation of the poison god. This time I have broken through the human world to go here. I came here to unify the poison god palace on the order of the poison god. Looking at the black crowd behind him, Xiao Yixian smiled slightly. His tone was indifferent, and the warning to Leng Yuchen was particularly obvious in his words. Then the poison pill in the palm of the hand was gathered up, and the mysterious spiritual pressure disappeared just now, and the pressure on the back was gradually reduced. Everyone couldn't help but slowly raise their heads and looked at the figure of the little medical fairy, as if they were looking at the real poison god. Now, you should know why. Poison Soul took a step forward, and then came to the crowd, staring at Leng Yuchen gloomily. At this time, the identity of the little medical immortal showed that, in addition to the actions of Xiao Yan and his just now, the relationship between the three, it's very clear, plus the arrogant actions of Leng Yuchen just now. The reincarnation of the poison god was lost in the human world. These two are close friends who are responsible for protecting the lives of reincarnations. The reason why the reincarnation of the poison god can successfully return on this trip is entirely due to their credit. Anyone who disobeys the two distinguished guests will be killed without mercy. Poison Soul Child turned his back and spoke slowly. The killing intent in his voice was extremely violent. Kill, kill, kill. Poison, poison, Shengming. At this moment, the eyes of many powerhouses below have always maintained respect and worship, and then looked at Leng Yuchen vigilantly. The reincarnation of the poison god, and the holy pill of all poisons? The murmur sounded, and Leng Qingchen's eyes were suddenly filled with shock. This long-lost thing in the entire poison god realm, it appeared today as two kinds? Gollum. As soon as the words fell, Leng Yuchen hurriedly turned around and left. This kind of matter is very important. You must report it to the palace master and make a decision early. The Mirror Moon Palace Lord. After the rest, the little medical fairy's eyes suddenly raised, staring at a cloud-shrouded peak on the top of the Jingyue Palace. Obviously, what happened here has already been seen by a certain Almighty. On the top of the mountains where Jingyue Palace is stationed, there are many ancient temples. There is actually an altar that looks like a sacrifice to the spirit. At the edge of the altar, there is a woman from the dust. People at the foot of the mountain. The woman stood quietly, and her slender body seemed to have endless power, which was unfathomable. In the slightly surprised eyes, there was a faint shadow of energy. Subordinate, meet the palace master. Feeling this crisp humming sound coming from the depths of its altar, countless powerhouses suddenly crawled quietly. Leng Yuchen's deputy palace master, Leng Qingchen's poisonous girl. Why didn't you tell me about such a big event? The woman walked in the air, moving like a green lotus. It seemed that the distance from the foot of the mountain to the top of the mountain was nearly a kilometer, and she was directly traversed by it. Stepping out one step, and then at the foot of the mountain, strips of milky white mist surrounded the body, looking at Leng Yuchen and Leng Qingchen with ashen faces. The white fog seemed to be flat, without any weird and terrifying fluctuations, but it gave Xiao Yan a sense of fear from the bottom of his heart. Palace Master Jingyue, although we have made a mistake in this matter, but with your great power, you won't make it difficult for me to be a poisonous girl under the Leng Yue Palace, right? Listening to the understated voice of Palace Master Jingyue in front of her, Leng Yuchen's body couldn't stop trembling, and she immediately made a sound, trying to shirk her responsibility with the word, poisonous girl. No and no. Crossing the mountain is a trial in the three palaces, so I naturally won't mind my own business. The host of Jingyue Palace was gentle, and then his eyes returned to Xiao Yishen, as if he was looking at and thinking about something. Palace Master, Deputy Palace Master, the difference between words, whether it is the power in his hands or his own strength, are completely different. There is a huge gap in the strength of the first layer reincarnation, not to mention the gap between the second layer, third layer, or even the fourth layer, which is even more unimaginable. In the reincarnation level, with the improvement of the level, it is extremely difficult to advance further and further. Even a small level is enough to become the key to victory. Especially a powerhouse like Leng Yuchen that surpasses the third rank. For the sake of Palace Master Leng Yu, I won't go into this matter. But Princess Jingyue seemed to have thought of something, and then smiled. For her, she spent her whole life trying to conquer the Unification Poison God Palace. Now she has an extremely precious opportunity in front of her, and naturally she will not waste it in vain. Then many thanks to Princess Jingyue. If it's alright, we'll go first. Leng Yuchen always feels that the actions that Princess Jingyue is doing now are extremely wrong, and when she hears that she has not gone into detail, she can't help but want to retreat. One of the three palaces of the Poison God Palace, Princess Jingyue Palace, Jingyue. Meet, Poison God Reincarnation. Palace Master Jingyue smiled slightly, then slowly bent over, made a big gift with both hands, and bowed to the little medical fairy standing beside him. Senior, absolutely, you are the elder, I am just a junior. In the future, I have to rely on you. Little Dr. Immortal had some worries in her mind at first, but seeing Palace Master Jingyue act like this, all the doubts in her heart disappeared immediately. With the strength and identity of Palace Master Jingyue, being able to give such a big gift in front of everyone has proved that the latter truly recognizes the identity of the little medical fairy. The identity of the poison god reincarnation is indeed a bit appalling, but if the Palace Master Jingyue has bad intentions, I am afraid that with the current Xiao Yan and a few people, it will be difficult to escape. After all, the strength of Palace Master Jingyue is much more tyrannical than Leng Yuchen, who is a quasi-quadruple reincarnation rank. In fact, Poison Soul is also gambling. After she decided to support the little medical fairy, she was thinking about whether she could return to Jingyue Palace with the little medical fairy. If the little medical fairy gets the help of Jingyue Palace, the unification of the three palaces is just around the corner. But if the master of Jingyue Palace is greedy, what awaits them is only the point of no redemption. They simply bet right. Come here, pass the order of my palace master. From now on, Xiaoyi Xian, as the saint of my Jingyue Palace, has become the highest power controller. The Jingyue Palace belongs to and must obey the saint's orders unconditionally. Those who violate the order will be killed without mercy. Of course, for some arrogant people who openly provoke and disobey the saint, we also have the right to directly kill them. The vast voice with unquestionable majesty slowly swept in. Run! At this moment, Leng Yuchen's pupils shrank slightly, and then he ignored the poisonous girl, and his body quickly shot away behind him. Humph! Leng Yuchen, the deputy palace master of Lengyue Palace, openly disobeyed the saint, and even tried to kill the saint by using the original poison. Should kill. Looking at the figure that was escaping quickly, Palace Master Jingyue had a long voice, and a milky white liquid dripped from his delicate body, and then easily blocked all the retreats of Leng Yuchen. A substantive murderous aura slowly radiated from the beautiful woman in front of her. That kind of power had already surpassed this world. Even Xiao Yan felt a burst of sigh when he felt this substantive murderous aura. This level of power, among the powerhouses I have seen in my life, can definitely be ranked among the top 3. Continuing from the previous episode 2339. Mirror Moon, you are too much. What I'm saying is that this is also the deputy palace master of Lengyue Palace, you are. Feeling the terrifying poison that filled the thick white mist, Leng Yuchen roared while escaping quickly. The difference in strength between the two is like a gulf. If Jing Yugang is allowed to take the initiative, there is absolutely no chance of him winning. Senior, let me come. After taking a good breath, the little medical fairy slowly shook his head, twisted his jade hand, and a green energy slowly overflowed. Not good. At this moment, Leng Yuchen's eyes were filled with fear, and she hurriedly said, "The little medical immortal who possesses the holy pill of 10,000 poisons is even more terrifying than the palace master Jingyue. That innate suppression and threat is enough to smash Leng Yuchen to pieces." Crack! Imprisoned in the void, it began to collapse a little bit, and Leng Yuchen's body was completely imprisoned, unable to move, and even all the power in the body was suppressed. "Come here, take it down and watch it strictly," Palace Master Jingyue said coldly, and a wave of extremely strong fluctuations was continuously released. The Holy Maiden. Everyone spoke slowly, and there was a touch of unprecedented excitement in their voices. With the reincarnation seal of the Poison God and the inheritance of the Poison God token, this time, why is the Poison God Palace not prosperous? Let's go, there are still many things that need to be handed over. 2 distinguished guests, Poisonous Woman, thank you for this trip. The faint voice sounded, and a group of people dispersed. They knew very well what terrible things would happen when they entered. On the other hand, Xiao Yishen and others were brought into the depths of the Jingyue Palace mansion by the Jingyue Palace master and sent strong people to protect them in secret. 10 days have come quietly. During this period, Xiao Yan and Zuner spent some quiet and dull time, but Xiao Yishen kept seeing the dragon but not the end. Obviously, a lot of things were handed over by Palace Master Jingyue. Dong dong dong. Xiao Yan knocked on the door of the room where the two of them lived, and then Xuan got up and went to investigate. Sister Xiao Yishen? When I opened the door, I saw a delicate body like a Qinglian fairy revealed, and behind her was an old woman who looked like she was dying. The old woman's expression was slightly closed, and she didn't make a sound. She just silently followed Xiao Yishen's side, as if to protect the latter. The palace master has taken good care of me these past few days, but I have neglected you, sorry. After a while, Xiao Yixian smiled knowingly at Xiao Yan and Zuner, and said apologetically, "Saint, let's get down to business. Although these two are your friends, but now is a time of trouble, it's better to have less contact with outsiders." At the moment of their conversation, the voice of the dying old woman sounded, and her expression was extraordinarily serious. The seal of reincarnation and the holy pill of 10,000 poisons have a great relationship, and they are related to the election of the poison god a month later, so now. Xiao Yishen shook her head. This kind of thing was quite beneficial to her, but she wondered if Xiao Yan and others could understand it. By the way, I have already told the palace master, Xiao Yan, you can follow the old poisonous senior to the dusty fighting skills in the palace. If you can obtain it, it is also a chance. After thinking about it for a while, the little doctor said directly, for today's little doctor, Palace Master Jing Yue can't wait to hold one hand in the palm of his hand, so no matter what he asks, he will do everything he can. Choosing the day is worse than hitting the sun, let's do it now. When Xiao Yan heard this, his eyes were immediately filled with a trace of fiery, great immortal art, and it was also a fire attribute fighting skill among their Xiao clan. Its power and value were unique to him. Listening to Xiao Yan's opening, the poisonous senior didn't hesitate. The four of them left the house instantly and moved towards the distant palace. In the Jingyue Palace mansion, the area is huge. Although there are also countless poisons, poisonous plants, beasts, etc., but under the leadership of the poisonous seniors, everyone has a smooth journey, and it is very easy to pass through many poisonous miasmas and arrive at the destination. That scroll is in this stone hall. If you have a fate, you can get it. If you don't force it. After the old poisonous senior finished speaking, his breath converged and he hid beside the little medical fairy. What a terrifying strength! Xiao Yan nodded slightly, and naturally it was not difficult to sense that the strength of this old man was probably the same as Leng Yuchen's. This poison shrine is really a place where crouching tiger, hidden dragon. The stone hall is quite magnificent. There are several peaks standing around it, surrounded by clouds and mist, like a fairyland on earth. Apart from this stone hall, there are many magnificent buildings, which are obviously used to collect some precious fighting skills in the Jingyue Palace. Around the stone hall, there is a very close poisonous mist surrounding it. Let's start. The old poisonous senior raised his big hand and waved, and suddenly a viscous blue poisonous mist shot up, gently pouring into the stone hall in front of him. Peefed! With a sound, the power of terrifying venom surged, and a strange vortex was actually built in the center of the main entrance of the stone hall. The huge suction attracted Xiao Yan and the two, and even Xiao Yan could clearly smell an ancient vortex from the vortex. Vicissitudes. Thank you, senior. Let's go. Until this moment, Xiao Yan looked at the stone hall in front of him, and there was an extremely fiery look in his normally calm eyes. He couldn't help but drag Zuner into it. Senior, do you think they will succeed? It was not until Xiao Yan and the two disappeared for a long time that Xiao Yishen spoke slowly. Saint, these are not things you should consider. The most important thing you should consider now is how to quickly integrate the power in the poison pill and protect yourself. After all, what happened 10 days ago, I'm afraid there has been a lot of rumors. With the temperament of the other two palace masters, I won't watch a genius with a poisonous body grow up. The faint voice sounded, and the little medical fairy left with the old poisonous senior, and then went to the palace of Jingyue Palace to realize the cultivation of poison pills in the body, but the election of the poison *** is probably only a month away. During this period, it will definitely be the poison god. When the palace was the most turbulent on the surface it was calm, but secretly it was probably already turbulent. Stepping into the stone hall, a dusty aura of vicissitudes surrounds, without any poisonous fog power. Some are just an ancient wave flowing down from the long years. Brother Xiao Yan, lava, volcano. On Zuner's face, beads of sweat appeared, but her mind was full of doubts. It seems that there is no other power in this world. Some are just a pure flame power. What appeared in front of him was a volcanic area thousands of meters in size. The afterglow of the fiery red flame continued to overflow, and in the crater, there was a red scroll that stood quietly. No matter how the years and flames are baked, this scroll remains untouched and mysterious.